Hi, this is Rachel Israel with STEM News and Global World Report. We have breaking news that will have a huge impact on the global scene in the very near future. Let's take a look at what's going on around the world.
President Trump, we love you. We will support you all the way to the end. Thank you for everything you've been doing.
We have a message for you, President Trump, from all the way down from the RGV 956. Latinos for Trump here representing. We've been with you since 2016. Co-founded Latinos for Trump. We pray for you, and it's time to what? Finish the wall! 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 Finish the wall!
I'm a business owner. To me, I believe he did really well with our economy during COVID with what he was stuck with. You got to follow your heart, and I think that's what us Latinos did. He deserved a second chance, and we gave it to him. And I don't think it was just the Latinos. I think the African Americans, too. We need to work with DACA. They're here. All the migrants, illegals, they're here. Stop threatening them. We're going to deport you.
I voted for her because the rhetoric, floating garbage, the rapists, the illegal immigrants. My parents are immigrants. I'm first generation Mexican. I would really want for the immigration system to be fixed. That is what touches my heart. Because I come from immigrants. This is the land of the immigrants. We built this country, man.
Oh, you can't just blame Latino voters. Like, yes, the fuck I can. And I say that with my immigrant-ass passport, okay? Yes, you can blame the campaign. Yes, you can blame the party. But at the end of the day, there's this little thing called personal accountability. In 2016, I was a little bit more lenient because, okay, people just don't know. They don't understand the consequences. But we lived through that presidency. What I'm hearing now, even from immigrants and undocumented immigrants, because yes, if you have TPS, if you have DACA, you're still undocumented under federal law. Oh, it wasn't that bad under Trump. Oh, Trump's not gonna do anything. Oh, he didn't do anything last time. Oh, yes, he didn't. He tried. The only thing that stopped him was a full resistance movement that filed lawsuits for every single one of his executive orders. What really gets me is that a lot of people who have undocumented family or themselves are undocumented will ultimately need the help of other people who told y'all, don't let this man back in office. Relying on people like myself who have been doing immigration advocacy for years, it generally makes me not want to do this shit anymore. Like next year, a lot of us are going to be helping people that couldn't even help themselves by voting for their best interest. You know where gas really going to be cheap? In fucking Mexico, yeah it is.
60% of Latinos voted for Trump in this election. And to think that my vote was going towards protecting my people. The fact that I was absolutely horrified at the thought of Trump becoming president because of the effects that it will have on our people. I voted for those Latinos that don't have a voice in this country. For the Latinos that are the backbone of this country and don't receive shit. I voted for the Latinos that have been nothing but good people in this country, paying taxes and have no criminal records. Only to find out that it's our own people turning against us. I am truly disgusted.
I can't believe that the Latinos voted for Trump. I can. I believe it 100%. Girl, y'all have to stop acting like it is just Cubans that are racist and conservative in the Latino community. Coming from a Colombian girl. Look at the politics of Colombia. Yes, I know our president is like more left-leaning this time and very progressive. But, girl, look at the politics and the history. Look at their stances on abortion. I know she's decriminalized. However, that just means that you can't go to jail if you get an abortion, okay? Or if you're a doctor that conducts an abortion. That does not fucking mean that it is socially accepted. Turn on Telemundo. You tell me how many people of color you see on Telemundo. You tell me how many brown and black people you see on that show. Tell me if they're casting. Turn on Caracol. Tell me how many people of color you see on there. Like, I don't want to hear it that we're this progressive community. We're not. So yeah, I 100% believe it. And for all of these freaking people who are Latinos that voted for Trump, I'm gonna hold your hands when I say this. He doesn't like you. He never liked you. And he's never gonna respect you. And if y'all weren't born here, he's gonna try and find a way to get you deported. So, congratulations for looking stupid.
I am genuinely curious if you identify as a Latino and you voted for Trump Can you tell me what was the specific factor in that decision? And curious to know if you are first gen. And I don't want this to turn into a heated debate discussion in the comments. I'm from California, and I do live in my California bubble where everyone predominantly votes Democrat. And I'm just curious, like, I want to understand, like, I want to know, especially because this is my community, and I want to understand.
60% of Latinos voted for Trump. 60, con el plátano en la cara, con el nopal en la frente. At this point, disrespectfully, we deserve every single thing that's coming to us. Every single thing, because there is just no way. 60? Mano.
Because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I know it's going to be controversial, but I'm actually rooting for Latinas and Latinos who voted for Trump. I really am. I really hope that they get everything that they voted for, and I hope that they never forget who they voted for. So when they're waving goodbye to their undocumented partner because they got deported back, I want them to remember who they voted for. When their abuelita needs life-saving care, but there is no Medicaid because it's been slashed to the bone, I want them to remember who they voted for. When they watch their nieces and nephews struggle because birthright citizenship is gone and all of a sudden their family isn't welcome, I want them to remember who they voted for. When they have a child with special needs but there's no funding, no resources, no Department of Education, I want them to remember who they voted for. When all of a sudden their family's neighborhood is targeted with more policing instead of community support, I want them to remember who they voted for. When there's no money for your family but a whole bunch for billionaires, I want them to remember who they voted for. When environmental protections vanish and the air is so disgustingly polluted that their kids develop asthma or something similar, I want them to remember who they voted for. When discrimination increases and they are harassed incessantly because they will never be white, I want them to remember who they voted for. Call me petty, but sometimes getting exactly what you voted for is the only way to understand it.
For all Hispanics, Latinos, and Mexicans that voted for Donald J. Trump, this message is for you. I am so proud and honored that we made our voices heard. That no matter how many insults the Democratic Party threw at us, or how many Hollywood stars they threw at us, or how many fake promises they threw at us, the Hispanic, Latinos, and Mexicans voted for life, defending the unborn, voted for Christian principles. We never denied God like Judas. We stood by him. We voted with a Christian conscience and said yes to life. Yes to Christian principles. Yes to children of God and their innocence. And blessed are the peacemakers, that we voted for peace and not war. So for now on, we will live with that God saw our vote. God bless the United States of America and everyone that voted for Trump.
I'm just going to say it. If you're a fellow Latino or especially a Puerto Rican who's voting for Trump, I think you're a complete sellout. You're not only selling out our country, but you're selling out our people, our community, our Latinas. And let me tell you why specifically I'm pointing out Puerto Ricans. As a fellow Boricua, let's forget a moment that Mark Anthony just recently talked about when he was our president, visited Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, threw paper towels and denied us billions of dollars in relief while many of us died, calling our land disgusting. What I'm referring to us Puerto Ricans specifically, we have something unique that many other Latinos don't in this country. We get to stand in our own privilege of being U.S. citizens, where we never have to worry about being deported. But many of us who grew up in Latino communities, who came here to fight to be here, who have children here, because in our community, everybody's a tia and tío and cousin. If Trump becomes president and you're gonna know somebody, a neighbor, who's gonna have their kids separated from their mothers and their fathers, that's important too. We always forget about the dads. And if you don't know anybody directly, trust me, there are people in healthcare, construction, agriculture, so many farmers, so many Latinos come here and they do the job that many people would never do for the price that they get. Here in New York City, in our restaurants, so many of them are our chefs, our sous chefs, our servers, our bartenders, our barbacks, but they do it because they work hard and they see the value. It feels like they're literally the backbone of our economy right now. Those voting for a man who don't care about this struggle is a betrayal to all these people working in our country. Supporting Trump is turning a blind eye to all the damage he has caused our people. When he's talking about mass deportation, he's not talking about Canadians, he's not talking about Europeans. It's all Latinos because they're all murderers, criminals, and rapists. You're one of those few Latinos that made it into some serious money, so you want a tax break, or you're just a Latino that's misinformed. Whichever it is, you voting for him, you're a sellout. And if you're not gonna do it for yourself, do it for the children and do it for our Latinas, our mothers, the women. Don't get me started on the reproductive rights.
I'm Ecuadorian, and this is why Latinos are going to vote for Trump. And woke Americans are going to say, oh, you're betraying your own people. I'm Ecuadorian, not illegal. So many Latinos that are going to vote for Trump immigrated to the United States legally, or their parents did, or their grandparents legally immigrated here. And do you know how hard and difficult the legal process is? You have to get an actual visa to live here, not just one of those tourist visas you can overstay on. You have to always be in status, and then you have to get a green card, which takes forever, and then a few years after that you get citizenship. Why the absolute fuck would I want some illegal alien who crossed the border illegally and skipped the entire line to get a visa, or someone who got a tourist visa and decided to overstay several years or decades to be giving just a free pass by a senile old man? Those illegal aliens, they skipped in front of millions of legal immigrants. And the woke Americans will say, oh, they just want a better life. Everyone on earth wants a better life. If you can't get a visa to the United States, get a visa to one of the other 195 countries. Every single country on earth has a visa policy to keep out the people they don't want. Those people could be dangerous. Those people could be criminals. Those people could be just people that won't contribute. Don't break my country's laws by illegally entering my country or overstaying your tourist visa and then play the victim card. So why the hell would I vote for Joe Biden, who wants to devalue all the work that legal immigrants did by just giving status to a ton of illegal aliens?
To the people who think that a second Donald Trump term would be the same as a second Joe Biden term, these are what the Republicans who are close to Trump in Congress are saying right now.
Looking forward to the next administration where we're going to have the largest deportation system that's ever been witnessed in human history, because the American people deserve to have a safe country, safe borders, and I'll finish up with this. We will be impeaching Secretary Mayorkas because he has broken the laws, and these are the laws that Joe Biden himself put in place.
And I want to put this into even further context for you. Legislation was just passed in the state of Texas that would essentially allow for any officer in the state to racially profile a Latino person and to take them back to a port of entry. A family of citizens in El Paso had guns pulled on them by DPS. This is not about deporting just illegal immigrants. They are going to start targeting and trying to deport citizens who are just Latino people. Like, that is the concept that I don't think people are grasping.
Here's a fact that's bringing me so much joy right now. So, my father's Cuban, my mom's Mexican, her mom came to this country not necessarily legally. She voted, though, for Donald Trump. A lot of my extended family on my mom's side voted for Donald Trump. So here's the deal. If I'm getting deported, guess what? You're coming with me. It's what you wanted. We're going to drain the swamp together. We're going to give you exactly what you voted for. When the ICE officials come for me, guess who's getting ratted out? Congratulations, and I can't wait for the family reunion in Tijuana. Mi gente, mwah, love your faces. See you in hell.
As a Latino, I've never been more embarrassed and more disappointed in the Latin community for even voting or thinking of voting for Trump. Voting against your own self-interest is counterproductive. It's insane to me. Like, y'all don't make no sense. What's not clicking? And let's be very serious. Latinos voted for Trump because they want to be as close to whiteness as possible. It's because they are anti-black. It's because of the internalized racism. It's because of the not even internalized, it's for the outward racism. That's really mainly what it was. And let's not forget the misogyny of it all. Let's not forget that, because one thing a Latina woman is gonna do is gonna put her man, her son, any male figure in the Latin community up on a pedestal with ease. And that's exactly what the Latino men thrive on. The women always putting them up on a pedestal. And that's really the sad part about it, because there is no reason why they should have been voting for Trump at all. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed today, and I'm just so disappointed.
white man, white woman, and Latino man handed Trump the presidency. So Latino men that voted for Trump, we gotta talk. If that man goes through with the promises that he's made, like mass deportations, like denaturalization, aggressive border policies, attacks on reproductive rights that could affect your mothers, sisters, and daughters, then I hope that you stand on business to support your family and the community that you claim, in the same way that you stood on business to support this man.
To the Latinos for Trump crowd who voted Republican this year, I am very confused. Trump wants to get rid of birthright citizenship, meaning that if you were born in this country but your parents were not, especially if they were undocumented, you no longer have citizenship. Hello? What? Why would any of us want that?
I've been joking around about Latinos for Trump over the past few days. It's been all fun and games, but a few of you have actually asked me to explain why Latinos would vote for Trump. And that's a really good question, and there's actually a lot of reasons, so it's time to get real about Latinos for Trump. Let's begin with the conversation of class. Wealthy people tend to lean more Republican because Republicans advocate for lower taxes for the rich. So wealthier Latinos lean more towards Donald Trump. The second reason would be internalized racism and internalized xenophobia, or otherwise known as the pick-me people. The people that say, my family came here the right way, it's not that hard, why can't people just follow the laws? We're not like them, we're different. Those are the people that want to be accepted by white Americans so bad that they will openly bash their community. There's a lot of those people, and those people also tend to lean towards Donald Trump. The third and the biggest reason why I believe there's a lot of Latinos that support Trump is because our community is incredibly conservative. The Catholic and Christian church have a lot of power within our community. Conservative views when it comes to women's health and the LGBTQIA tend to dominate our community. When you put all those things together, it's not that hard to understand why so many Latinos support Trump.
Why did so many Latinos vote for Trump? Many Latinos have a fantasy heritage, and the US is a perfect place to entertain those fantasies given its history of white supremacy. Fantasy heritage is a term coined by Dr. Frank Perez at University of Texas, El Paso. And as Paula Ramos writes in her book, it's the idea that when the situation calls for it, many Latinos can prioritize their whiteness and erase the specificity of their indigeneity. Proximity to whiteness leads to the erasure of indigeneity. This is one of my favorite quotes. The delusions of fantasy heritage can easily morph any semblance of indigeneity and darkness into whiteness, thus turning Latinos into the ultimate conquistador. It is much easier to embrace fantasy heritage than to deal with the complicated, violent, and messy past that we have with race. So just like Don Quixote, we believe we're a noble conquistador instead of someone fighting our own mind.
Hey y'all, I've already seen a mass amount of people blaming all Latinos for the Trumpian win, particularly those that voted in Florida and Pennsylvania, but I want y'all to know that Mexican people demographically do not typically vote for Republicans. It is actually typically Cubans and other Central Americans. This is courtesy of Pew Research Center. As you can see here, Cubans typically are the ones who vote for the GOP, and Mexican people typically tend to vote for the Democratic Party. This is because Cubans live in a country that is heavily sanctioned by the United States, and as a result, it is very impoverished. But the Cubans who migrate here are under the impression that the reason that their country is in shambles is because of socialism. So they fundamentally oppose any policies that are beneficial to the general public because they are afraid of communist policy. And it's important to get specific because there are many different ethnic groups inside of the Latino community, and that includes Black people. There are Haitians who are Latinos, and don't y'all forget.
Más de 60% de latinos. Ustedes no tienen vergüenza. No se lo perdono. No se lo perdono porque...
¿Qué les dije, latinos, hispanos, mexicanos, por Donald Trump? Que todo el mundo vio nuestro voto y nuestro voto hizo historia que ganara Donald Trump gracias a nuestro apoyo. Y ahora todas las ratas, la escoria de la vida, los más racistas, nos están criticando. Nos dicen que cómo pudimos y esto y el otro, que las cachetonas no nos van a perdonar y que migraña e insulto. No van a poder dormir cuando sepan que vamos a aumentar. En vez de 60 vamos a subir a 65 y después 70, después 80, después los guadalupanos va a ser 85, hasta que todo latino sea pro Dios, pro los Estados Unidos, pro familia, pro cristianismo y pro todo lo bueno, que por eso venimos a este país, para triunfar y no para ser borregos comunistas. Así que no necesitamos ningún perdón ni permiso de los demócratas comunistas. Se cuadran.
I'm diving into the reactions of Latinos for Trump as they confront their huge mistake. Can I make sense of it all and find out what led to this change of heart? In the early days of Trump's presidency, many Latinos surprisingly threw their support behind him, believing his stance on the economy and jobs would benefit their communities. Some even saw him as an outsider who could shake up the political establishment. Latinos who supported Trump initially thought he'd be a champion for economic growth, and his America First mantra resonated with them. But as Trump's presidency progressed, his policies began to reveal a very different story. The Muslim travel ban, the border wall, and the effort to repeal the Affordable Care Act, all of these measures disproportionately affected Latino communities. It wasn't long before these supporters began to realize they'd been misled. One of the most significant blows came when Trump's administration rescinded the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, leaving hundreds of thousands of young undocumented immigrants in limbo. The Latino community was devastated, and many who had initially supported Trump felt a deep sense of betrayal. How could someone they'd entrusted with their hopes for a better future turn against them so callously? The impact on Latino families and communities was palpable, and the sense of disillusionment was overwhelming. From farm workers to small business owners, people began to wonder how they'd ever thought Trump was the answer to their prayers. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the despair only deepened. Maria, a young mother from Arizona, told me how her family had been torn apart by Trump's immigration policies. Her husband, a hard-working undocumented immigrant, was deported, leaving her to care for their 3 young children alone. I thought Trump was going to make America great again, she said, her voice trembling with anger and sadness. But all he did was rip my family apart. I spoke to Juan, a small business owner from Florida, who'd initially backed Trump because of his stance on the economy. But after watching Trump's handling of Hurricane Maria's devastation in Puerto Rico, Juan realized his mistake. It was like Trump didn't care about the lives of our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters, he said, shaking his head. I felt like I'd been played. Rosa, a formerly undocumented immigrant from California, told me how Trump's DACA repeal had left her in a state of constant anxiety. I was so scared, I didn't know what was going to happen to me, she said, her eyes welling up with tears. I thought I'd finally found a way to make a life for myself in this country, but Trump took that away from me. A defining moment came when Trump's administration launched a series of ICE raids, sweeping up hundreds of undocumented immigrants across the country. The latent fears and anxieties of the Latino community boiled over into outrage and despair. For many, it was the final straw, the moment they realized they'd been duped by Trump's false promises. The turning point was clear: Trump's brutal immigration policies had awakened a sense of frustration and disillusionment within the Latino community, leading many to reevaluate their support for him. As the tide of public opinion shifted, so did the narrative around Trump's presidency. Looking back, it's clear that Latinos for Trump were sold a false bill of goods. They were promised economic prosperity but got instead a toxic mix of xenophobia, racism, and division. The lesson learned is that even the most well-intentioned support can be misplaced when it's built on a foundation of deceit and manipulation. If you're a Latino who's gone through a similar journey, share your story with me in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about the changing trends in Latino voting, check out my video on the topic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Well, that's the news for tonight. Thank you so much for continually supporting our content. If you did enjoy this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, and share this with your friends and family. I'm sure they would find it interesting as well. We're very excited to continue this journey with you. We thank you all for bringing certain stories to our attention, and for continually keeping us updated with certain events around the world.